is, what are we, December 6th, right? It is our last office gathering of 2024. As y'all know, I have a remote job where I don't really work with my coworkers, and most of our interactions are on Microsoft Teams. So I started about January. I started at the beginning of 2024 at my current job, and we met in the office for the first time in August. The second time we met was December. We've only met 2 times since I've been at the job, and this is going to be number 3. So I've been at the job for 11 out of the 12 months of 2024. Unless they met in January, this is like 3 meetings in a year, and it feels like too many, to be honest with you. It's not about how many times we meet. Some people just don't like having office days. I don't mind office days because that used to be my whole life. Before the pandemic, I was always in the office. All my jobs are office jobs, so I don't mind going into the office. But if I don't necessarily like the group that I'm working with and the chemistry and the management, then I'm not going to like going in even 3 days. I'm going to feel like I would rather stay at home. And this is not one of those, I don't know how to say it, but they gave us an office day recently. Matter of fact, I forgot to count one of the days. Hi, Judy. We had an office meetup. November, sometime in November. I can't remember the date, but we had an office meetup in November. They created a second office meetup because they recognized that the team chemistry and morale was so bad that they're like, let's have another meetup to try to right the ship. It's not gonna happen. Let me tell you something. The grass is always greenest where you water it. There's no party or outing that is gonna make people forget about 12 months of being mistreated. There's no party that's gonna do that. Even if we laugh and smile, which inevitably I'm sure is going to happen. Laugh and we smile, we joke and we play games, ugly sweater party, all that is a cool distraction. But it's not going to make anybody forget anything. It's not going to boost morale. Maybe it's going to do that for some people. I just know what it is and is not going to do for me. Like I said, if they happen to start asking questions about team morale, this party is going to get real based on my responses to what they have to say about that. If they start asking questions like, what have you enjoyed about being on this team, it's going to get real based on my answers to that. Because I don't sugarcoat. I'm not going to not say something because I'm scared of reaction or retaliation or whatever. I'm just going to say how I feel. That's a characteristic about me. And you know what? The people who have met me in recent years are like, that's just Mark. But the people who have known me longer than that know that that was never me. I was somebody who was just quiet and in the mix. Something that was happening and I thought it was unjust, unfair, whatever it is, I was like, I'm better off not saying anything because I don't want to make waves. I don't want to make enemies. I don't want to make people not like me. But then I started to realize what's worse out of these two options. Making waves and people potentially changing their behavior or at least thinking twice about it, or saying nothing and just continuously being disrespected. And I'm like, I'd rather be the person who makes the waves. And I've been on that. And it's for the better. I say what I have to say. People know how I feel, so they're less likely to push my boundaries. They're still going to do it. You can't completely make somebody just stop pushing your boundaries 100%, but you can definitely make them think like, do I want to do this? No, Mark is not the one. Hydricity and Beauty Tiny. That only works if you do something intentional to change something long term. That's what I'm trying to say. Give me a different policy. Tell me something that you're going to do with some kind of better communication, like some kind of open door policy. We used to have this thing. I'm not going to say its exact name because it would give away. It wouldn't give away the person who created it, but I always think of the potential of people to watch my videos from wherever. And we used to just have regular feedback meetings where we could provide feedback on what we feel about what's happening at the job. And that was a great tool. But they haven't done that in months. I was promised, me personally, I was promised by a higher up that in August, I had a laundry list of complaints, and I was promised by a higher up that I was going to have a check-in meeting directly with that person every 2 weeks. 1 hour check-in meeting every 2 weeks, and we have not had a single one since the time that was promised to me. And I know some other people would probably be like, did you hold that person to it? And I didn't. I mean, I probably should have. I should have been like, what's happening to our meeting every 2 weeks? But I'm just such a huge person of principle, and what I mean by that is if you say you're going to do it, I take it as it's almost like a test to me in a sense. I'm not the one who's going to make you do it. If you tell me we're going to have this meeting every 2 weeks, I'm going to wait and see what you do. And based on whether you follow through with your word or not, that's how I'm going to act moving forward with you. If you say this is what I'm going to do and you don't do it, then I'm just going to say to myself, I know what list to put you on. This person is not a person of their word, because I'm a huge person of my word. That's why I don't give my word a lot. People try to ask me to promise them to do things or to be places, and I'm like, I can only promise that if I know that I'm 1,000% locked in to do that. Aside from that, forget it. You know? Definitely don't accept disrespect. Yeah, communicating boundaries is always better. I had a boundary setting presentation that was supposed to be done maybe 2 years ago, maybe 3 at this point. It's all done. It's all completely written out. Unfortunately, the reason why it hasn't been presented yet is because there were 4 of us that were supposed to be a part of that presentation. One of them did something kind of foul, very foul actually, and we don't talk to him anymore. But that presentation should still be done. But anyways, in my section of that presentation, I said, in communicating boundaries, you can either win or win. And what I meant by that is that you could either win by, after your communication, the person decides to respect those boundaries, or you can win by that person not respecting the boundaries and exiting them out of your life. Because you're taking an L anyways by allowing someone to stay and disrespect you. That's an L. The best way to get results, plus they need to follow through on their promises. You know what? That's another thing that I got from my dad, I've realized, because my dad wouldn't be somebody, I mean, he would be somebody sometimes who would say, do this and do that. That's natural because I'm his son. But he was also a person who was like, what are you going to do? And then if I tell him, I'm going to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, he's like, okay, that's your responsibility now. Let's see what you're going to do. He was not gonna hound me about it. He was not gonna be like, what's happening with this? What's happening with this? What's happening with this? He would just be like, you said you were gonna do this, so I'm gonna leave you to it. And then, because he, you know what? He was somebody, I have never been in a boss position. He was in many of them for my whole life. He was like very high on the administrator scale at a lot of his jobs in his life. So, excuse me, his style was not to micromanage or double, triple, quadruple check that you're doing something. It's like, I'm delegating this to you, and I'm going to look and see what you're going to do. And then basically from there, I'll see whether you're somebody who's worth keeping on the team or not. And that's kind of where I'm at. Even though I'm not hiring or firing, so I'm not literally choosing who's going to be on my team. It's more of a thing where I'm like, let me see who you are as a person and if you're worth riding with. So if you're a person in a position of leadership and authority at a job, and you're telling me, Mark, this is what we're going to do, I'll sit back and be like, okay, Mark, I promise you that we're going to do this, which is what happened. I'm going to be like, okay, I'm going to take a mental note. Sometimes I'll even take a written note. Okay, this is what you said we're going to do. And I'm going to see. And based on whether you do that thing or you don't do that thing, I'm going to know if you're just somebody who keeps their promises, or as a saying goes, you talk because you have lips and gums. Because that type of person is not a person that I'm really going to ride for. And you know what? I feel like people in those positions sometimes feel like I can say anything because it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter because you have your life and I have my life. My life is better than your life. I make more money. I'm in a higher position than you. You know, like, who cares, right? Let me tell you why it does matter. I'll tell you exactly why it does matter. There's different types of jobs, and I'm about to wrap this up. There's different type of jobs that people have. There's people who are, there's the CEO, there's the CFO, the COO. We have a lot of different, administrative positions. Then we have a thing called operations that I always talk about. Operations is the team that does the main function that generates the company um, their operating costs on a day-to-day. In other words, like in my company, operations team is the people who do things that we bill for. And that would be the doctors, the nurses, the social workers, the case managers, like what I'm doing, the peer specialists, the PAs, everything down the line. We do services that are based on our qualifications and our certifications, etc. And then we bill for those services, and those are the operations of the company running. So a lot of times the managers are not the ones with the clients. And so we're working because everybody gets a team. Everyone who's some kind of manager usually gets a team, unless you're working with there are certain positions like technology positions, different things where you are working by yourself. But most managers, most people in management positions have a team. And if you're somebody whose team doesn't like you, doesn't respect you, whatever, they will do work for a temporary amount of time. But if you're not happy, if you're not motivated, if you don't trust, it's going to fall apart and it's going to fall on you. Everything we do is going to fall on you ultimately. And they don't think that way, but I've seen it. Seen it happen myself. I've outlasted a couple of managers where when they went through the company layoffs, it's like we're not really looking at a team of, let's say, 10 and saying, let's fire the team of 10 and then get a new 10. Because typically they're giving the managers more rope than us. So the managers get, hold on, let me get to these comments. I'm saying I won't commit unless I'm 100 because I can't stand when people say things with good intentions. True. Hi, Debbie. I want to trust you. If you're saying you're going to do something, you're going to do it. I can be the best forever unless I don't feel. Yeah, that's it for me. You know that what you just said there, Charicity. That's the part where I'm saying to myself, if my director tomorrow happens to have one of the first things on my mind. So some of you will remember when I talked about my first, no, not my first off day, my second office day with this company, which was last month, where I said I came with some paperwork, I came with some suggestions, I typed out some suggestions that I think need to happen in order to make this job better for me and for the company, not just for me. Like things that I typed out that would benefit myself but would majorly benefit the company. And my director said to me, "This is impressive. I like this. I like that you're a solution-oriented person. I love the suggestions. I'm going to take a closer look at this in my..." Let me see here. Sorry about that. Individual meeting with me after that. And again, we went through that whole list oh, I see these as reasonable requests. So what we're going to do is I'm going to set up a meeting with all of your direct management, and we are going to go through everything that you said here, and then, hopefully come up with some resolutions based on that. Oh, great, this value me. So then they set up that meeting with my direct leadership, and that person, that director. We got in the meeting, we went through my list, shot down everything on the list. And then they said, great meeting. At that meeting, I felt like, yeah, it's time. It's soon. That is how I felt. Because to sit there, to spend however long I spent creating that list, then to have a meeting where I was praised for that list and told that those changes were going to happen. And then to have another meeting and none of those changes happen. I was like, I'm checked out here at that point. Promises are, it's not about what you say. And those things are being a person like me, because I don't trust out of people. That's a fact of the. When I have people in my life who say, I'm going to do this, and they do it, it's huge for me. I don't think I've ever said this, maybe ever, but I've definitely never said this on here. My dad was, at least on a personal note, I don't know how he was at work. Maybe at work he was probably a different person. But in life, he was a person who would tell me he was going to do a lot of things for me. Mark, I'm going to do this. Mark, I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this. And he just, most of the time, he wouldn't do those things. And when I lived, I was always expecting he's going to do that eventually. He's going to come around and do that eventually. He wouldn't do it. The few people in my life, I mean, there are people now who I can trust for things like they say they're going to do this and they do it. But I mean, the people in my life for the majority of my life, I'm saying, who said, I'm going to do this, and they did it, and I never. My grandmother the most though, but my mom, she also will not say to me that she's gonna do anything unless she's 1,000% gonna do it. So she doesn't make a lot of promises, but the promises that she does make, she keeps them. I think I'm like that. I think I'm more like her in that sense than my grandmother, in a sense of I don't promise a lot of people a lot of things, because once I promise it, I'm going to go to the ends of the earth to make sure that happens. I had somebody book me for a job. This person was a friend at the time. They booked me for a photography job. We fashion. And she hit me up like as soon as she got details together. I have the venue, I have the people that are going to be participating, etc. And it's going to be my first fashion show. And I said, sure, no problem. How long is the event? The event was like 4 hours. This is my friend, mind you. This might not mean anything to a lot of people, but if you know anything, if you've ever booked a photographer, I told her, sure, $150 for 4 hours. That is 35. It's like between 35 and 40 an hour. I think that's about $37.50 if my math is serving me correctly. $37.50 an hour for a photographer. That's dirt cheap. an hour of photos for 37.50. That's literally not gonna happen unless it's your friend, not with any professional camera. So we're locked in. I mean, we're not technically locked in because I didn't locked in with something. I'm committed to that. To be honest with you, if somebody, I've had this discussion before. Somebody asked me, if you had a job for X amount of money and then somebody came across the table after you agreed and said, I have a $500 job, same date and time as the 150 job, would you take the $500 job? No, because that's a matter of principle. Now, if the original job was like 150 and then somebody had, I'd possibly explain at the very least. I would explain the whole thing to the person, but quite honestly, depending on what the function is and how much time is left between when I agree to do the job and the function, I might still do it. But anyways, the point of the matter is, I want to say 3 to 4 days before the event. She hits me up. She says, hey, I'm sorry, I'm not going to be able to book you for the job because I executed this thing and it's way less people than I expected to come to the event, so I can't pay you, I can't book you anymore. I could never see a scenario with that being the case, because here's why. I wouldn't book somebody to do a photography job or any job based upon the expected number of sales. Like, I expect to receive this much money, and then I'm going to take the money out of that money to pay this person. No. I think of that as one of my expenses. Like, if I have an event and I know that the cost of me throwing the event is $1,000 to be able to profit from the event. Listen, if I feel like I can't justify the photographer, I'll call a friend or something. Here's my camera. Can you please take pictures with it? Or if I didn't have a camera, can you just show up and take pictures with your phone? Phones take good pictures right nowadays. That a lot of people use their. I couldn't see myself promising somebody a month in advance, or not promising them, but asking them a month in advance if they could do photography for my event, and then looking at the budget 2 days before the event and saying, based on budget, I can't pay you for that. That was crazy. And I have not done business with that person since. And not just that I haven't done business with her, we don't talk anymore. I don't talk to that person anymore. Some people feel like there's for everyone, there's a business version of them and there's a personal version of them. I tend to feel like integrity is integrity. There's certain things that I have to do in life. Yes, I'm not saying I am exactly 100% the same at a job as I am in life, but I'm also not radically different either. The ways how I have to change myself for work is in the sense of, sometimes people say disrespectful, wild stuff, and I want to respond in a way that I would respond outside of work, to clean it up and make it more professional. That's the sense that I really have to change for work. But some people, the lies just flow off the tongue. And I'm like, for those people, I don't feel like they just turn that off if they do that 40 hours a week. 160 hours a month for a year. I don't feel like they could just turn that off when they clock out. I feel like that's their character at that point. That puts people in a crappy spot because even if they could have done it. And to me, and then on top of that, 150 is such a small amount to lose. Like that venue, I know that particular venue that she rented out is about 500 or 600 for the evening. She rented it out for the evening. And I don't know who else she paid. I don't know if she paid the models, but I doubt it. I think the models came for the exposure. So like $500 to $600. There was about 20 to 30 people in the room. $20 to $30 people in the room. And the tickets probably cost about $20, I want to say. So let's just say I guess she probably had some money that she spent also on little snacks and waters and stuff like that. Let's just say she was down, canceling on the person last minute. Because in order for me to agree, I started to look at life really differently when, like, after some certain conversations I've had with certain people who do different professions, where they're like, somebody once told me, it's not just that I'm coming to take pictures at your function. I have to make sure my camera is charged. I have to make sure that I have my SD card all set up, an amount of editing. I'm going to have to show up to your event. I'm going to have to be on time to make sure I capture everything. I'm going to be running around the room. I have to be a professional. Photography is not just show up and snap pictures. You're going to some of these functions, so you have to dress appropriately. You're going to have people speaking to you. You're going to be pulled in so many different directions. And last but definitely not least, you're leaving your home, your family, whatever it is. That's your time that you're taking to go over there and be a part of somebody else's mission. So I have to make my schedule is clear. I have to make sure that my equipment is good and ready. I have to make sure I'm mentally ready no matter what's happening for me. I have to make sure I'm ready to go over there and deliver on my promise to you. So I'm prepared for that for a month. And then 2 days before, it's like, psych, I lied. It's disrespectful. I would never have canceled. Listen, if you listen to me long enough, I have flaws. Massively so. I would take that L all day before that person would have to take the L. It happened to me before. I had a fitness party when I turned 30. I held a fitness party. So it was a party with, I had a group of friends who are fitness instructors throw like a workout party because I thought that was a cool thing. Right? I hired a DJ. The DJ was $300. Nothing crazy though. But I don't know why I assumed. I had never thrown a fitness party before. So I wasn't really thinking of everything that would go into it. I had like waters, I had a snack table, I had a photographer. Um, Basically, I underestimated the expenses, and I think I overestimated the money that I thought that I was gonna make at that function, to where I could have easily been like, you know what? I can't afford the photographer and the DJ. So let me just hit them up and be like, I'm sorry. I know that I booked you. But I don't have the money anymore. So therefore, I'm canceling. No, I took the L. Those people got paid. Did I make any money? No. I walked out of there in the negative. But the people that I asked to do the job, they did what they were asked to do, and I paid them accordingly, as promised. Because, like I said, I'm big on keeping your word. Big on that. It might not benefit you in that moment, like right away, maybe not in a financial sense. However, I feel like if you build like a reputation and a credit based on your ability to keep your word. And one second. My word is my bond. Okay. That's when hopefully they would tip you way better. It's horrible. And that's happened to me before, actually. It's literally happened. It's not just a scenario that I'm coming up with. It has happened before that I have accepted a job. This is a freelance artist thing. I've accepted a job and somebody else has asked me to do a job on the same day, same time or something. And I've had the opportunity to back out and get the other job for more money. And I've said no, because I already said yes to the original job. Oh, do y'all want to see my ugly sweater, by the way? I mean, there were uglier ones, but it's fine. I like the sweater. I like this sweater anyways. Because it's an ode to one of my favorite cartoons ever. I could watch Snoopy all day. Me and my sister actually not last year, 2 years ago, was a very rough year because my dad had a stroke on my birthday. This is one of the nicest things she ever did for me. She actually came here to New York for a visit, and it was December. And she was like, I know that you basically didn't get a birthday because of what happened with Dad. So she said, find something that you want to do and pick it out, and I'll pay for it and we'll go together. And what I picked out was a live Charlie Brown, The Christmas Story, a live play of Charlie Brown, The Christmas Story. And we went out to Manhattan and we watched it, and it was very, very good. The pianist, like the background music for it, they actually had a live band that was playing, and then they had the cast that was both speaking. Like Charlie Brown, they were all dancers. It was like one of those dancing musicals. So the actor that played Charlie Brown, the one that played Snoopy, they were actually dancing and singing, which was very cool. I think there's small differences between charity at work. I like that because they see more of the electricity side. I agree so much with that. I agree so much. Like there's micro differences with me. There's gonna be I have to clean certain things up with the way that I would address things personally. I have to clean things up a little bit, but character is character. I don't feel like it changes when I put my badge on. My character is my character, period. There's nothing else to it. Yeah, preparing some poses and researching stuff. And then I always get there early because I want to check out the room. I want to take some test shots. I want to talk to the person who booked me and see if there's a program, like what's the order of the program, what are the shots that you must have. There's a lot that goes into it. Snoopy, Joe Cool. I loved Snoopy. We had this record. I wonder if we still have the record. We had this Charlie Brown record that I used to listen to. Ooh, not me pulling it out first. We have a record player. Not me actually finding this immediately when I got on this live. I don't know if any of y'all have ever heard He's Your Dog, Charlie Brown. Wow. This record used to be on repeat 7 days a week when I was a kid. Charlie Brown was having all these problems with his dog. And then his dog ran away. And then Charlie Brown was going around looking for his dog. Then when he found him, he was like, "Oh my goodness, I'll never take you for granted again." And then everyone was like, "He's your dog, Charlie Brown." And memory unlocked. I honestly can't believe this because look how my record set is packed in like this. I didn't see a name on the side. I was like, let me just see if I can find the Charlie Brown record. And I just pulled something out. Like, okay, I'm probably going to have to pull out a few of these to find the Charlie Brown one. And I'm like, first one. First one. That's classic. I wish I could listen to it, but our record player, it's been a long time since it's been able to actually work. I wonder if these records are worth anything. Possibly not. We got here the Big Bird Orchestra. Oh, I remember the Big Bird Orchestra. Oh yeah, we had our Christmas set. Yes. Not me pulling out the other Charlie Brown, the other Charlie Brown record. I don't know what's happening tonight. I was just about to log off. Merry Christmas, Snoopy. Huh, that's really cool. That's really cool. That is really cool. But I just found those like that. Anyways, memory unlocked. Childhood memory unlocked. Now it's time to go. We had a Snoopy snow cone. Oh, wow. I wanted to jump out. It wanted to jump out. I know, that's crazy. Some people are, I love Big Bird. Yeah, so this sweater is actually something that, even though this is like ugly sweater, oh, well, I guess that was my cue to go. But please make a like, comment, and subscribe, and hit the notification bell to get notified when I drop some more great content. Thank y'all. Have a good night. Update you probably on my way out of from the office party. Bye.